stuck, aren't you? 1 minute. Your head's telling you to play it safe.
To think it through, to be the smart one. The next, your heart's screaming at you to take the leap, to feel something real, to stop overthinking every damn thing. And there you are, caught in the middle, tearing yourself apart, wondering why you can't just make a decision and move on. That's your ego's war, reason versus emotion, battling out inside you, leaving you paralyzed. Stay. This is RawPsych, and we're about to rip the lid off his internal chaos. Right now, you might be feeling that tug of war in your chest, that constant back and forth that keeps you up at night. Maybe you're trying to decide whether to stay in a relationship that's draining you, or walk away even though you're terrified of being alone. Maybe you're stuck at a job you hate, but your head says it's stable, while your heart is begging you to chase something that actually lights you up. Or maybe you just try and figure out who the hell you even are anymore, because you spent so long listening to your head or your heart that you don't even know what you want. This isn't just indecision. This is your ego playing a cruel game, pitting your reason against your emotion, making you feel like you're losing either way. It's the kind of internal conflict that makes you feel like you're being torn in two, like no matter what you choose, you're betraying a part of yourself. And the worst part, you don't even realize it's your ego pulling the strings, making you think this war is about logic or feelings, when really it's about control. It's about your ego's desperate need to protect itself, to keep you safe, to keep you small, to keep you from facing the messy, uncomfortable truth of who you are. Stay. I'm about to show you how this war started. Let's break this down. Reason and emotion, they're not just two sides of your brain. They're two survival tools that have been with you since the beginning. Reason is your head, your logic, the part of you that analyzes, calculates, weighs the pros and cons. It's the voice that says, don't do that, it's too risky, or stay here, it's safer, or you can't afford to fail. It's the part of you that's kept you alive, that's helped you navigate a world that's often unpredictable, that's made sure you don't make a complete fool of yourself. And then there's emotion, your heart, your gut, the part of you that feels everything, that craves connection, that pushes you to take risks for the sake of something real. It's the voice that says, go for it, you'll regret it if you don't, or this feels right, even if it doesn't make sense, or you deserve to be happy, damn it. It's the part of you that makes life worth living, that drives you to love, to create, to chase what sets your soul on fire. On their own, reason and emotion are powerful. They're meant to work together, to balance each other out, to guide you through life's chaos. But here's where it all goes wrong. Your ego gets in the way. Your ego, that little voice in your head that obsessed with being right, with looking good, with staying in control. It takes these two tools and turns them into weapons. It pits them against each other, making you feel like you have to choose, like one has to win and the other has to lose. And when that happens, you don't just feel stuck. You feel like you're at war with yourself. So why does your ego do this? Let's go back to the beginning. When you're a kid, you don't overthink this stuff. You feel something, you act on it. You're sad, you cry. You're happy, you laugh. You're curious, you explore. Reason and emotion aren't at odds. They're just part of being human. But as you grow up, the world starts to mess with you. You get told to think before you act, to stop being so emotional, to be practical. You get praise for being smart, for making good decisions, for keeping your feelings in check. At the same time, you get hurt. Maybe someone you trusted lets you down, maybe you take a risk and it backfires. Maybe you show your emotions and someone makes you feel small for it. So your ego steps in to protect you. It says, okay, we can't let that happen again. We need to be in control. We need to be safe. And it starts building walls. It starts telling you that reason is the only way to stay safe. That if you think everything through, if you analyze every angle, if you play it smart, you'll never get hurt again. Or it tells you that emotion is the only way to be real. That if you follow your heart, if you let yourself feel, if you chase what feels right, you'll finally be free. But here's the catch. Your ego doesn't actually care about what's best for you. It cares about protecting itself. It cares about keeping you in a box where it can control the narrative, where it can keep you from facing the things that scare you most, like failure, like rejection, like the truth of who you are. Stay. I'm about to show you how this war plays out. Let's talk about what this war looks like in your life. When your ego pits reason against emotion, it creates a cycle of self-sabotage that keeps you stuck. Say you're trying to decide whether to leave a relationship that's not working. Your heart says, I'm miserable. I need to get out. I deserve better than this. But your head says, what if I'm making a mistake? What if I end up alone? What if I can't find someone else? So you stay, even though you're unhappy, because your ego is terrified of the unknown. Or maybe you're thinking about chasing a dream, something that lights you up, something that makes you feel alive. Your heart says, this is what I'm meant to do. I can feel it. But your head says, that's not practical. You'll fail. You'll look stupid. Stick to what you know. So you don't go for it, and you spend your days wondering what could have been, feeling like you're living someone else's life. This isn't just indecision. It's your ego tearing you apart. It's your ego telling you that you have to choose between being smart and being real, between being safe and being alive. And the more you let this war rage, the more it takes from you. It takes your clarity, your confidence, your ability to trust yourself. It makes you feel like you're always second-guessing, always doubting, always wondering if you're doing it wrong. And over time, that constant conflict, it wears you down. It makes you feel like you're not enough, like you're failing at both. Failing to be logical enough, failing to be passionate enough, failing to be the person you thought you'd be. Stay. I'm about to show you how your ego keeps this war going. Here's the dirty little secret. Your ego thrives on this conflict. It loves keeping you stuck, because as long as you're stuck, you're not growing, you're not changing, you're not facing the things that scare you. And that's exactly what your ego wants. It wants you to stay small, to stay safe, to stay in control. So it keeps feeding the war between reason and emotion, making you think it's a battle you have to fight, when really, it's a battle you need to stop. Let's break down how it does this. First, your ego uses reason to keep you in check. It tells you to overthink everything, to analyze every decision until you're paralyzed. It says, what if you fail? What if you're wrong? What if people judge you? It makes you believe that if you just think hard enough, if you just plan enough, if you just weigh every possible outcome, you'll never make a mistake. But here's the truth. Life isn't a math problem. You can't reason your way out of every decision, because some things, most things, aren't meant to be solved with logic alone. And the more you overthink, the more you get stuck, because your ego isn't actually looking for answers. It's looking for excuses to keep you from acting. On the other side, your ego uses emotion to pull you in the opposite direction. It tells you to follow your heart, to chase what feels good, to ignore the consequences. It says, you deserve to be happy, screw the risks. But here's the catch. Your ego isn't really interested in your happiness. It's interested in keeping you distracted, in keeping you from facing the hard stuff. So it pushes you to act on every impulse, to make decisions based on fleeting feelings, to avoid the deeper work of understanding what you really need. And when those impulsive decisions backfire, when you end up hurt or broke or worse, your ego flips the script. It says, see, you should have listened to reason. You should have played it safe. And just like that, the war starts all over again. Stay. I'm about to show you what this war is really costing you. Let's talk about the cost of this war. When your ego keeps you trapped in this reason versus emotion battle, it doesn't just keep you stuck. It takes a toll on every part of your life. First, it kills your ability to trust yourself. You start second-guessing every decision, every feeling, every thought. You don't know if you're being too logical or too emotional, too cautious or too reckless. You don't know if you're making a right choice, because your ego has you so twisted up that you can't even hear your own voice anymore. And when you can't trust yourself, you start to feel like you're losing yourself. You start to feel like you're not in control, like you're just a passenger in your own life, watching it pass you by while you're stuck in this endless loop of doubt. That doubt, it seeps into your relationships, too. You start overthinking every interaction, wondering if you're being too cold, too needy, too much. You start holding back because you're afraid of getting hurt, afraid of being seen as weak, afraid of making a wrong move, or you swing the other way. You let your emotions take over. You say things you don't mean. You push people away because you're so caught up in how you feel that you can't see how it's affecting them. Either way, you end up isolated because you're too busy fighting this war inside yourself to connect with anyone else. And then there's your dreams, your goals, the things that make you feel alive. This war, it kills them too. It keeps you from taking risks, from chasing what you really want, because your ego is too busy arguing over whether it's smart or right. So you stay where you are, playing it safe, settling for a life that's comfortable but empty, a life that looks good on paper but feels like a lie. And over time, that emptiness, it grows. It turns into resentment, into regret, into a quiet kind of despair that you can't even put into words. You start to feel like you're not living, like you're just existing, like you're stuck in a cage of your own making, and you don't even know how to get out. Stay. I'm about to show you how to end this war. So how do you stop this war? How do you get your ego to stop tearing you apart? The first step is to see it for what it is. This isn't a battle between reason and emotion. It's a battle between your ego and your true self. Your ego wants control, but your true self wants growth. Your ego wants safety, but your true self wants freedom. Your ego wants to keep you small, but your true self wants to expand, to evolve, to become everything you're meant to be. So you need to stop letting your ego run the show. You need to stop choosing sides. Stop thinking you have to be all reason or all emotion. Stop thinking you have to be one or the other to be whole. The truth is, you need both. Reason and emotion aren't enemies. They're partners. They're two sides of the same coin, two parts of the same system. Two tools that are meant to work together to guide you through life. Reason keeps you grounded, helps you think to the consequences, helps you make decisions that won't blow up in your face. Emotion keeps you alive, helps you connect, helps you chase what matters, helps you feel the full spectrum of what it means to be human. You don't have to choose between them. You have to integrate them. You have to learn to listen to both, to let them speak, to let them guide you without letting your ego turn them into weapons. So how do you do that? Start by getting quiet. Start by stepping back from the noise, from the constant back and forth, from the endless arguments in your head. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what do I really want? Not what's safe, not what's smart, not what feels good right now. What do I really want? What's the truth underneath all the noise, underneath all the fear, underneath all the excuses your ego keeps throwing at you? And then listen. Listen to what your reason is telling you. What are the risks? What are the consequences? What's the smart play? But don't stop there. Listen to what your emotion is telling you. What feels right? What lights you up? What makes you feel alive? And then find the middle ground. Find the place where reason and emotion overlap, where they're not fighting but working together, where they're pointing you in the same direction. That's where your truth lives. That's where your power lives. That's where you'll find the clarity you've been looking for. Stay. I'm about to show you how to make this real. Let's make this practical. Say you're trying to decide whether to leave a relationship that's not working. Your heart says, I'm done. I can't keep doing this. I deserve better. Your head says, but what if I'm wrong? What if I end up alone? What if I regret this? Here's how you integrate reason and emotion. First, listen to your heart. Let yourself feel the pain, the frustration, the longing for something better. Acknowledge that those feelings are real, that they're telling you something important, that they're pointing you toward what you need. But don't stop there. Bring your reason into the conversation. Ask yourself, what's really going on here? Is this relationship salvageable, or is it doing more harm than good? What are the consequences of staying versus leaving? What do I need to feel safe, to feel valued, to feel whole? And then look for the overlap. Maybe your heart is telling you that you need to leave because you're not being respected. And your head is telling you that stay means more the same pain, more the same patterns, more the same hurt. That's the overlap. That's the truth. That's where you'll find the courage to make a decision, to take the step, to choose yourself. Or maybe you're trying to decide whether to chase a dream, something that scares you but also excites you. Your heart says, this is what I'm meant to do. I can feel in my bones. Your head says, but it's risky. What if I fail? What if I can't make it work? Again, listen to both. Let your heart tell you why this matters, why it's worth the risk, why is worth fighting for. Let your head tell you what you need to do to make it work. What steps you need to take, what risks you need to mitigate, what plan you need to put in place, and then find the overlap. Maybe your heart is telling you that this dream is what will make you feel alive, and your head is telling you that you can take small, calculated steps to make it happen without losing everything. That's the overlap. That's the path forward. That's how you stop the war and start moving toward what you really want. Stay. I'm about to show you what's on the other side of this. Here's what's waiting for you when you end this war. When you stop letting your ego tear you apart. When you start integrating reason and emotion, you'll find something you've been missing. Peace. Not the kind of peace that comes from playing it safe, from staying small, from avoiding the hard stuff, but the kind of peace that comes from knowing you're living in alignment with your true self. The kind of peace that comes from trusting yourself, from knowing that you can handle whatever comes your way, from knowing that you don't have to choose between being smart and being real. You'll start to feel whole, like all the pieces of you are finally working together, like you're not fighting yourself anymore. And that wholeness, it'll change everything. It'll change the way you show up in your relationships. You'll stop overthinking every interaction, stop holding back out fear, stop pushing people away because you're too caught up in your own head. You'll start showing up as your true self, flawed, messy, human. And you'll find that the people who matter, the people who deserve to be in your life, will love you for it. It'll change the way you chase your dreams. You'll stop letting fear hold you back. Stop letting your ego talk you out of what you really want. You'll start taking risks, not reckless ones, but real ones, the kind that push you to grow, to expand, to become more of who you're meant to be. And even if you fail, even if you fall, you'll know you can get back up, because you're not fighting yourself anymore. You're not tearing yourself apart. You're whole, you're grounded, you're free. And that freedom, it'll change the way you see yourself. You'll stop feeling like you're not enough, like you're failing, like you're stuck. You'll start seeing yourself as someone who's capable, someone who's resilient, someone who's worthy of love, of happiness, of a life that feels real. You'll start to believe that you don't have to be perfect, that you don't have to have all the answers, that you don't have to choose between your head and your heart to be whole. You'll start to believe that you're enough just as you are, and that belief, it's the most powerful thing you'll ever find. So don't let your ego keep you stuck in this war. Don't let it tear you apart. Choose yourself. Choose wholeness. Choose freedom. If this hit you hard, if it made you feel seen, if it made you realize you're not alone in this fight, hit that like button. Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. Let's build a space where we can be real, where we can share the hard stuff, where we can lift each other up, and subscribe to RawPsych. We're not done unpacking the messy, complicated, beautiful truth of what it means to be human. You're not alone in this. Stay real.